any comments, we could get into our nice, our, and you see it was filmed here at Omni Commons, so that was really good. Yeah, that was filmed here. You didn't recognize the film? Yeah, so I guess we could get into, what time is it? Oh, I guess we have dang, that went by fast. I guess we got started late because of all of our technical issues too. So it is 6:58, so I do recognize, that we're gonna wrap up soon. But does anybody have anything they want to say to talk about the, let's say, significance of Afrofuturism?
Sure. I think Afrofuturism is something that not necessarily should be parallel with what the future entails, but it's more or less a means of saying, if you're not going to put us in your future, we're going to, create our own future, our own destiny, or what have you. It's a further means of defining, people of color and people of the African diaspora, to make sure that, stories keep going, further, so, yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Sorry. I can see the eyeline. Afrofuturism. I think Afrofuturism is a place of radicalism, and when Black people are so focused on the present because of bullets flying from all over the place, when their water sources are polluted, when war and famine is happening around us, the future must be on us to speculate, because whoever's on the other side of making that future isn't making a future that we can live in. So we have to find a place to own it, and we have to inspire and use imaginations for that. So Afrofuturism is vast and huge and large and hasn't even cracked, the surface of what the future looks like for Black people and for anybody else that wants to live in a Black future, right? You might say Afrofuturism, but whoever want to live here, get to live here. You just got to play by our rules now. I'll start walking around. I just want to say that Pumzi, which was that first, or actually second film that we watched, the one out of Kenya. God, I want to see more films like that. Man, right? Where we're that thing was so real, where it's just integrating those just top of the line ideas, and especially when it comes up to the climate crisis and climate change. And we've talked about the fact that that's going to impact people of color more than anybody. And so to see more of those stories that are being originated from there, and especially with that, I said that message of hope, and also what's it called? Really taking control, right? Exercising that power as a leader. Yeah, self-determination. But yeah, I think that the more that we can use Afrofuturism to really show ourselves as leaders in caring about our future, the better. I guess that's what I want to see with that genre.
I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you guys. I'm sorry. I want to thank all the filmmakers for being here and presenting that for us from a different perspective. And I'm just hoping that we have more. When I think of Black Panther, I think that's a high budget sci-fi and kind of show possibilities, but I kind of want to see, when you were talking about what you want to see, I want to see Black futurism, not really having a leader, but it looks like people of color are going to have to lead, obviously, because we have been the ones most exploited and the most harmed by the decisions of, very small groups. So I think envisioning what that's going to look like, seeing people of color actually taking the reign and realizing that collectively we're going to have to be the ones to make that happen. So I want to see how that's going to look. I want to see how we wrestle our power back as people and just kind of see what we do with that when we have it, and whether we do what has been done to us or whether we do something different.
Give me 1 second before I give it to you, Jim. Any new hands? Okay, I'm gonna go there and into that, okay?
Thank you. So my name is Damian King, from Richmond, California. When I think about Afrofuturism, and as a young lady was talking about, or as you were talking about, I want to see those films of what it is to kind of live black, to live in a black body. I think about, you know, our origins as a human race. And I think about, especially in the film Departure, and I think about, you know, my personal belief system is that like this physical body is just a vehicle. And so when you see a film like Departure, it makes me question, you know, who we were, the fact that we were the future at one point in time. You know, you look at Kemet, you know, Egypt, you look all around the world, you know, they just found some ruins in Turkey with this unexplained technology. And so when I think about like movies like Black Panther, when I think about what role black people play in the future, I think part of what in antiquity, what made us such a great people was there was a spiritual component, an element of spirituality that governed our existence, our lives, the way we treated each other, the way we treated nature, and I imagine that the future, in order for us to really thrive as a human race, is that we have to kind of get away from like the material side of things. I think that there was a component in antiquity where there was a material side and there's a spiritual side, a ritualistic side, that when you pursued the material, you had to also, there is also a ritual that had to take place in order for it to be like a sustainable thing. And I just think that because of like greed and stuff today, that there's no more ritual, there's no more spirituality. I think we play those parts, but I don't think we live it, you know?
Go make your film. Anybody else? New hands?
This is actually directly toward my two young friends over here. When, you know, I just read a book about the history of 5 individuals that helped to build the Steelworkers Union. Now, black workers were a minority within the steelworkers, but what most people don't understand is without that conscious minority, the union would never have come into existence. So there's a contradiction. On the one hand, they were certainly a minority in numbers, but on the other hand, they played a key leadership role. That's a contradiction. But when you said, the first brother said, well, you know what, if they're not going to include us, then we'll just, you know, strike out on our own. I think the actual reverse is the formula for success. By striking out on your own, you guarantee that they will include you. You understand what I'm saying? That's real important. Never not strike out on your own. Go out and follow your own path, your own ideas. That's a must. Believe in yourself. Now the other thing is, I know, you know, we're a little spoiled because it's a very rich country, and you know, you look at the so-called artists, popular artists, and they rolling in money and all that. That's not generally the case. All right, let's be clear about that. But remember, you can't buy imagination. It can't be bought. You can't, you know, go to Walmart. Yeah, give me a box of imagination, and you know, I mean, it doesn't work that way. And I want to bring to your attention a program that was popular in the 50s. I think the guy's name was Rod Sterling. I think the program was called The Twilight Zone. No, I'm very serious. They still play. And you know what? If you watch that shit, that had no damn money. It wasn't about no money. They cooked up a little scheme in their mind, And then they ran and they did, it was very similar to a lot of stuff we've been watching today. You know? Because I'll say it again, there ain't no price on human imagination. Believe in yourself.
All right, I think that's a good closeout slide. Closing words by Maria.
There's a
Jesus.
question here. So.
Oh, I lied. Should we go there and then you do closing words? Oh, okay. Here we go.
Thank you for all of that. I just wanted to point out two things. Although Jeffrey did say about Afrofuturism, about he included Afrofuturism doesn't really, the aspect of practice doesn't really care if we're included in white culture. The other part of Afrofuturism is the word Afro, and part of that is decolonization, which is a practice in there. So there is a aspect of communal, there is an aspect of spirituality, there is an active collective consciousness that is trying to happen. There's an actively trying to encourage the imagination of Black people, radical imagination of Black people. What everybody else does with that is not of anyone else's concern. And I just want to point that The Twilight Zone was on a major television station. My film cost $2,000. That is not even one episode of The Twilight Zone. It is not. And Black Panther cost something like 30 million, right? So the active, the imagination really is about what do we actually already own and have on our bodies to create something. That is the act of art, and that is the act of imagination. If you need to go buy it.
Definitely. And then also, just to piggyback, with movies such as, Black Panther, it was made by the mouse, the great mouse himself. I went to see it 3 times, I'm not gonna front. No, exactly. And at the same time, we have to jump off of that springboard to be able to create our own films. May not be $30 million, but at the same time, I think it should prove a point saying that these movies can be made, because, we could talk about how, the Hollywood system, literally, you've got like 2 African-American men, Denzel Washington and Will Smith, they can make money overseas, right? And anything else after that, it's an urban market. But, you can make a film on a cell phone, and you can shoot and edit on a cell phone. So there is no excuse to evolve and keep making, more work, what have you. I'm losing my train of thought here. But I will say that other than Black Panther, you've got like Ken, which was a while ago, as far as like science fiction movies that featured, people of color, in that. And then shows such as, Star Trek, which was revolutionary unto itself. So, what am I trying to, what's that? Deep Space Nine, hell yeah, Captain Benjamin Sisko, right?
Okay, stop nerding out.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, here we go. But yeah, so anyway, that's it.
Sorry, I will get to you, but they just had 2 people bring up Black Panther, so I have to say something. Because what I'm going to say is going to sound real different. And that is, I actually hope for Afrofuturism as a genre to not be defined by the Black Panthers of the world. By the fact that, to me, Black Panther, and I finally watched it, is more of the blackwashing that we have been suffering from in the movie industry. And so, when I really, in terms of using Black futurism as a genre to really empower ourselves as Black people to envision our future, I don't want that future to be a carbon copy of what we have already had and those people who we all know, because I don't want to just say white people, because white people are suffering from what those people have perpetrated and continue to perpetrate right now. And so as we use Afrofuturism or any other speculative genre, we need to start envisioning a world of of more extraction. It's just that Black people get to lead that extraction of that resource to power technology, rather that we start to have questions around the ethics of technology, especially as, you know, things like we're not questioning how much energy usage goes into powering a server, things like that. And so we as people who are, again, are using things like speculative formats, where we're imagining our future, let's use those formats to start questioning these things, to really start breaking that down.
You and then we'll, oh, he walked in. So you and then we'll in? Okay, go in first. Okay. So here and then I'll end.
I want to say in terms of, I guess it's Black future, but what I see myself, what I think we're going to work for Black future is concerned is the Black family coming together. Because through the Black family, you can have cohesion, you have spirituality, you have all the creativity that you need, and you need a unit, not just the individuals. You need unity in terms of family. And families make up communities. The community make up counties, but you got to begin with the family. And the Black family is so, it's been a war against for so long, but now it's time for the Black family to come together so we help save the world. And you can't save the world, in my opinion, without the Black Americans here, because we've suffered the most of any human beings on the face of this earth at any time that we can pick. Black people in America have suffered the most. So we can be very humble, we're very just. We can be very just in terms of other people. But it's all people thing. It's not just Black people. It's an all people thing. It's not just Black people taking, well, it's about being inclusive. And all people inclusive, but all people got to understand they got to help Black people up. So Black people help lift everybody else up. So the Black family is important.
Yes. So who's going to do the movie of a Black superhero family? Okay, done. We can't wait to see that movie when it comes out. It's going to be awesome.
One thing, I know that, just housekeeping, there's a donation thing over there for donating things, right? You can just like support this moment. So that's important. Monetary energy. And on that note, before you close, if you could give us a Venmo for folks who are using technology to pay for things. Venmo, like a Venmo for folks who don't have paper currency. Oh, that's on my thing. I have things to say. I have something to say.
Okay, I was just gonna say.
Okay. If you go to liberatedlens.org, you can use PayPal.
Grazie. So you opened up I feel like when you spoke, that shifted my understanding of just my orientation of what I experienced and what I'm trying to understand about Afrofuturism. And kind of also wanted to be a martyr in that, and not calling out anything in this space specifically, but just the way in which we're talking about and analyzing the films is like in my mind, since you said that, and I'm not a film person, but it's through a Eurocentric lens, a film school. So it's like, even as we think about what Afrofuturism can be, we're still in the landscape of that with the cinematography, and it's like, well, what is it beyond that? Like, what is Afrofuturism beyond the Eurocentric lens of what film is? And how do we get back to the spirit and the technology of indigenous African people? And like, what is Afrofuturism in the angle and the lens of that technology? Because a lot of it is like, even like the gadgets and stuff that's like not made in Africa. I mean, I don't want to say that, but like, I would like to see Afrofuturistic stuff that's literally using African technology that maybe is more tribal, but still gives me a connection into the past and into the future simultaneously. And then my other comment was like just around youth. Like, I love that your son was in that film, and it's just like, youth are the future. So it's like their perspectives, their understanding is like them in this space, and yeah,
of course. So the superheroes are gonna have kids. Just throwing that out there. We're building the story as we go along.
So one point that I just want to make is that the technology is made in Africa. Cobalt, which everyone's cell phone has, is mined in Africa. We do not own those mines, but we mine them. We dine in them. So that's a large part of Afrofuturism, is understanding technology, having a love for it. I'm a totally tech geek, but also knowing where that is happening and what our people are fighting over. So do know that everything you see in those films, it's a reason why it's in there. The other piece about finding a story of our people that is decolonized, that is also a part of Afrofuturism. Seeing nonlinear storytelling is something that is not Western culture. Seeing a film with no resolution is not Western culture. Seeing a film that has multi-timelines, past, present, and future, is not Western culture. So they are actively trying to push against this in Afrofuturism. And so that's why I use the term decolonization, because if you look at decolonization theory, all that stuff is in there, trying to dig back into your ancestors to understand how much you know of the natural land, how much information is already, what seed you should be mining, what seed you should be holding on to, what seed you should then plant. Like, this is already knowledge that's already embedded with us, but then how do we access it?
I was just thinking as you were talking about that, the movie Cloud Atlas, even though it wasn't, it's not a black, you didn't like it? But it proves the concept though, as far, it proves the concept as far as non-linear storytelling, with many different stories kind of sort of combining into one. It's not Afrofuturism, I'm just saying it's an example of that non-linear storytelling. I can tell by your distaste. Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it was based off of book. It was difficult to translate. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming to our wonderful event. If you stick around, like I said, I'll go down and get those, the Google Cardboard, and we'll figure that out together. Thank you to our guests, Jeffrey Moore, not Jeff. I have to keep doing that, it's funny to me. Maria Judice, thanks again for letting Shirah film and all of your comments. My name is Shirah. Thanks to Ray Lynn, thanks to Anna Collins, and we almost forgot to thank Akinati Foundation, who was really cool in giving us a grant to help put on this film series. So they're the reason you guys are getting fed today. So don't get all greedy and expect us to do that every event. Usually you just get popcorn. So thank you, and again, if you want more information or if you want to donate, thank you. We have bins back there, but you can also go to liberatedlens.org. If you have any questions, let us know. Sign up for our newsletter. And don't forget, next month, our last of the series, reparations. Get ready to talk about it. If anybody has somebody that they absolutely think should be talking on this subject, let us know. And you're like, no, I will die if I don't hear this person talking about that. Because those are the people we like to have here. Have a good, wait, Anka.
So I do not remember the exact date, but Shirah is going to do a 360 workshop next week.
I was hoping to get out of that. All right, I'm kind of overwhelmed. But the goal is, if you're interested in 360, which kind of ended up, if you're interested in 360, I'm supposed to be doing a workshop next Monday at 5 p.m. So what it will entail is we're gonna play with some cameras that I have so you can check out what it looks like on 360. But in terms of looking at some editing, which for me was my biggest hurdle in wanting to do it, I have some footage that I took while I was in Colorado about this guy named Barney Ford. Probably most people don't know about him. But what I will say is that Colorado was actually brought into the Union as, I think it might have even been the only state that allowed black people to vote. Colorado, who knew? And Barney Ford played a big part in this. So we can look at that footage and we can mess around with that footage and see what it's like to edit that. Because you have to create proxies, that's all you need to know, so we can't do it with the footage you take here, all right? Next Monday. Yeah, so if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get that in your mailbox or email box. All right? It will be here. It'll be downstairs. So if that creates accessibility issues, please email us and let us know. Otherwise, it will be downstairs because that's where our editing suite is. And Erin told me that she might help co-lead that. Don't look at me like that, you told me that. All right, bye.